Okay, what is up, everybody? I am Taylor, and welcome back to the madness. Yeah, I don't feel right yelling at the camera like that. I'm not certain other YouTubers people. I can't just yell and work up emotion. Yeah, see, it doesn't work. Anyways, what day is this? it's February 1984. I don't know, 2022. It's February 9th, I think. Yeah, it's February 9th, 2022. The weekly comic book review show. Time is at a standstill. We are stuck in another loop. We're about to go through yet another unmasking way too early, people, and then it's just going to be a vicious cycle where we're all back in quarantine and buying more comic books to cope with this shittiness that we call life. So, let's have a comic book review show while we're at it. And this is my weekly comic book review show, coincidentally enough. I bought some comics. It's not right week. Kinda. Nothing great. Worst to best, like always. And we're starting with Life Zero #1 by Ablaze Comics. Written by Stefano Vietti, art by Marco Cicchetto. The art is gorgeous. It's a great looking comic. And this is following a sort of trend of that's been going on lately where these indie comic books, what they'll do is they'll take stories that have been made and told in the European market in a different language, and they translate them into English, and they bring them over here and retitle them and call them something else and call it a new #1, and that's this. It doesn't always work so well, and this doesn't work very well. The art is gorgeous. I mean, it's a great-looking comic, possibly one of the best-looking comics of the week. But the story is just kind of, the dialogue is just it feels translated. And not very well translated. And the story, it's zombies in a prison. And they're trying to rescue somebody in a prison. And then it goes wrong. It's like you could tell the entire story in 2 sentences. I don't want to spoil all of it, but there is just nothing here story-wise. And it's just not enough to keep me going on. It's not atrocious. It's not like bottom of the garbage barrel heap of crap that I've read, but it's not fine. It's not that good. It's just kind of like, I don't know, whatever. All right. So, when old people talk about the internet and social media and they bitch and they yell at it, it's like old man yells at cloud, the old Simpsons meme. A meme is what happened when people would have things before TikTok. Sort of like me. I'm an old guy bitching about new shit. Welcome to Excellent #1. I think this actually came out last week, but my LCS didn't get any out books until later in the week last week, and so I just picked it all up this week. There wasn't a lot of them, and I think this is one of them. Written by Peter Milligan, art by Michael and Laura Allred. I love the art. I love Mike Allred's art. He's got this old school sensibility to it, this cleanness of line, and this kind of whimsy about it, and that pairs very well with his wife coloring. And yeah, that is gorgeous. But this is Peter Milligan, like an old man yelling at about social media, and it feels like about 7, 8, and 12 years too late. There's 2 different teams. There's the Excellent team and the Ecstatics, and they're fighting for some goddamn reason. And there's happenings, which I don't think have been a thing for about a decade. And yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a dated attempt at trying to have some kind of witty social commentary and satire, and it didn't stick for me. I'll probably keep reading this just because I really enjoyed the original Ecstatics when it first came out and the original X-Force when Peter Milligan did it, and I'm hoping this will get better. This is my sense of optimism, people. This is me. I'm an optimistic bastard when it comes down to it. But this is just not very good. It's just kind of a old man yelling at a cloud. All right, next we have vampires. So there was undead, and now there's vampires. We're getting through all the tropes, and actually there's a werewolf in Excellent. So we got all the Universal Studios creations here. So we have Cult of Icarus #1. This is not bad. This I'm going to put on as fine. The art I mostly enjoyed by Slaminski. It's got this dirty, kind of gritty sensibility of it that kind of reminds you of Ted McKeever, mixed a bit with James Mahfood and a few other gritty artists. The problem is when there's dialogue happening, the art really falls apart, and the facial expressions do not match what is coming out of the characters' mouths, and it's kind of just jarring. It's just jarring enough to me that I felt the urge to make note of it, and it just kind of took me out of the story. And the story itself, pretty typical. I know a couple other reviewers have really liked this, and I don't hate it, but it's just kind of felt like very familiar story beats with not a whole lot new to offer, to be honest. There was not a lot of real surprises, and the surprise at the end didn't make a lot of sense when it did exist, and it was all right. Yeah, it's just kind of without spoiling a whole lot. Long lost daughter looking for her parents who died in mysterious circumstances, and she goes to a bookstore, and then there's vampires. And you can probably figure out the rest of it from there. I mean, it's like if I give you that much info, you could probably, maybe not the specifics of the plot, but you could probably figure out where I'm going with it. So, all right, next. We have Darth Vader number 20. Yeah, it's all right. We're probably getting to the fine section. I think Greg Pak is having trouble trying to figure out what the hell to do with Darth Vader. Because the way he's writing Darth Vader, he's just now an agent of Palpatine, and it's just not, there's not a lot to do with that, character-wise. So he's not focusing on that. He's focusing on Ochi Bastoon, who's a more interesting character right now, and that's kind of what's going on in here. And it's fine. It should just be, it's sort of like the Joker book doesn't have anything to do with the Joker. There's not a lot of Vader in this. They're trying to weed out the Crimson Dawn, which is the next big stupid-ass Star Wars event. Trying to make use of Kira from the really shitty Solo movie. The Star Wars Han Solo, a Solo story, or whatever the fuck it's called. And so they're trying to, like, make that into a thing. And this is the new Charles Soule / Star Wars trend of trying to tell a story in the middle of a story to make pieces fit together better. Instead of just leaving the gaps and telling new stories with new things, they're trying to, like, make the caulk that holds the tiles together. I don't know, it's a bad metaphor. And this is okay. It's not nothing special. I still don't hate Greg Pak's writing on here. It's one of the, I'm not going to drop this just yet, but it's getting borderline. There's just not a lot in here to really sink onto. There's some machinations going on and some curse your sudden but inevitable betrayals, but it's just not all that interesting. All right, next we have The Last Flight Out number 4 of 6. This book it's been a while since the last one came out, and the premise is Earth is dying, and like the guy that invented the way to get off the planet is supposed to leave the planet on one of these giant ships, and it's the last one out before the Earth goes to royally to shit. But he wants his daughter, who's he's a strange witch, and that's how this series gets started. And we sort of pick this up, and it's okay. Again, the art seems like it took a nosedive from the first 3 issues. Like it's just kind of like I thought maybe it was going on break to give the artist more time, but that's when more time happens. No, rush this artist and make them go faster, because this is art in here is just kind of bad. And then there are plot holes you could drive a bus through in this one. It's just kind of what happens in this issue and what this, like the reveal or the end of this one, just does not make any sense with what is going on in the first 3. Like what one character does in here is just so nonsensical, and it leaves what there's supposed to be a cliffhanger at the end of this episode, but like there's no reason for that to have existed anywhere in this series, and it's enough to probably send this whole house of cards of a series tumbling down. I'm probably going to finish it because I'm 4 to 6 in, and I do at least have some mild curiosity as to how it ends, but this was a bad issue in this one. It probably should be lower on the list, actually. Yeah, it's going to be lower on the list. I'm redoing it, people. I'm going to start over. I am not, but just pretend I just dumped this one down the list because it is frustratingly bad. Just bad storytelling. All right. Are we going to do that? Yeah. I don't know. How are we going to do this? Okay. I'm questioning myself, people, in the order. You get in the middle of this stack of stuff, and it all sort of kind of fits in about the same place. So, like, don't take this order as a concrete, like, necessary rankings, even though I do say best to worst. Just think of it more as we're in that chunk of shit. And, we're trying to get through that lump to get to the next level of stuff. We're all at about the same level on this. This is not horrible. This is Hawkeye Kate Bishop number 4. But what this does is it just feels like it's a repetition of, like, every kind of Matt Fraction-ish Hawkeye beat that has come before it. There's just not a whole lot new in here, idea-wise, or even plot-wise, or, like, getting out of a jam-wise. There's a little bit of a reveal as to, like, what's happening with the location of this issue, but it's just, that's about it. The rest of it is kind of like a not very excitingly drawn fight scene and a not very excitingly drawn escape from there. And it's just like, it feels like it's a bad kind of copy of like a Lethal Weapon escape, a Die Hard escape, anything, actually 80s action movie cliche escape. There's just not a lot new in this. I'm hoping the last issue wraps it all up a little bit better. It's just kind of this didn't do it for me, and it's just not. It had a strong start, but it's fizzling. All right, we have next the thing that Dan Slott's been working on for about 8 billion years apparently, and I've not read any of his other stuff lately, so I'm not caught up on Fantastic Four or anything. And apparently, some people have been liking his Fantastic Four run. That's fine. Dan is very dialogue heavy in this. It's just a verbose issue. And this is, Fantastic Four Reckoning War. Dun, dun, dun! Cosmic events and years in the making, and yeah. Okay. I don't think any of the years in the making shit needed to have happened. You can this one issue sets it up well enough. Like there's some goofiness in here. It's Dan Slott. He likes this goofy shit. Like Nick Fury is the Watcher, and sorta not anymore, I guess, but he still sees things, and he talks in this weird ass, hokey, ancient dialogue that nobody speaks in. I don't think nobody ever spoke in. Like, oh, look at that there, doohickey. Well, Jim Jaminy Dame Doom Diggity Bob. That's not quite accurate, but it's just not. The dialogue, I don't think Dan has a great ear for dialogue, and I think this is no difference, and he's spouting a ton of it in here, so it just doesn't feel right. Now, that said, the grand revelation, entertaining enough. There's Watchers, there's a cosmic threat. It's what I want out of a Fantastic Four level story. And the plot might be enough to make up for it. I am probably not going to find out unless I read it on Marvel Unlimited or somewhere down the line, because it's not compelling enough for me to read the rest of it right now. It's just didn't hook me enough. So, and it's art. It's fine. I like the art by Pacheco. That was cool. But otherwise, if that took you 15 years, holy crap, man. Yeah, all right. Probably my favorite cover of last week. Another cool cover. And this is Star Wars Crimson Dawn. Dun, dun, dun! Number 2. Remember how I said Ochi Bastoon was one of the more interesting characters in the Darth Vader? Well, Ochi's half the thing in this. And there's another assassin. And there's 2 assassins in this issue. One's Death Stick. Stupid ass name, even for a Star Wars comic. But, I don't know. It's all right. It's like Charles Soule. This is his next baby after the War of the Bounty Hunters. This is the next big event. There's probably like 4 billion issues to this shit again. I picked it up because of the cover. And I picked up issue 1. This is maybe grabbing me enough to read the core title. Just because it's like the Crimson Reign or Crimson Empire, Crimson Flood. I don't know what the hell they're called. They're the gang of bad guys led by Han Solo's ex-girlfriend, who weirdly took a motivational turn in the movie, and like now it's just pure evil and machinations and stuff and things. I don't know. It's all right. There's assassins doing assassiny things. There's a little bit of verbosity in here that's not really needed, and it's better than Darth Vader. All right. This one is probably the last one I'm reading of this before it goes to trade paperback form. Dun, dun, dun. I'm gonna stop doing that too. That gets real annoying real fast. Tom Taylor, Danielle Nicola, whatever. 7 Secrets. It's number 14. I know some people have been loving this, and like I loved the first bit, and then it just kind of has been like it did this, and then it's this for me, and it hasn't nose righted itself yet. This is still like fizzling, and not much happens in this issue. The art, I think, took a downturn. There's at least the first half of this book, I thought the art was pretty bad. I think it righted itself, and like you could sort of see some of the anime and manga influences at the end. And the last half of the book had solid artwork, but it just felt weirdly jarring from one half to the other, even though it was the same artist. And the story itself, there just wasn't much on this one, and that's one of the reasons I'm going to trade weight it from here on out. I think it's like the story's breakneck action paced, but when you start doing some of that, it's just easier to read it all when you have like 5 or 6 issues in a chunk. And I don't give enough of a shit to buy these individually anymore. It kind of has lost me. I'll pay attention to what other people say about it and stuff, and if I hear it's gotten a whole lot better, maybe I'll pick it back up, or maybe I'll start grabbing it again before the trades, but I kind of doubt it. It's all right. It's fine. We are in the fine section of things. This is not awful. This is not a horrible comic by any means, but it's just not grabbing me anymore. So, And I want to be grabbed, people. There you go. That's my pull quote of the week. All right. Next, we have from Aftershock Comics, Land of the Living Gods, #1, by Isaac Mogahani. I am going to butcher that. And then art with Santos. This had a lot of interesting ideas in it. Afrocentric futurism, Afrofuturism, Earth 1,000 years from now, living gods, spirits, dying planet, a possible savior of the planet, a weird plant that might be a god. But it's a very just jarringly told. It's told like in little vignette scenes, and like the transitions are rough, and like it felt like this should have been about 3 issues to get to this, because I think each little bit needed more room to breathe. There's like, what happened? Flash forward, flash forward, flash forward, and like it's just kind of like bam, 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 and instead of the bam, 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 it needed a little more smoothing out, and it needed a little more time. I think it maybe at least 2 issues on this, but the ideas are pretty interesting, and the notion of like a future that's not Eurocentric and that's not quite as typical as you'd expect. There's some nuggets here. It just doesn't. It feels like the first time this writer's writing a comic book. And I know I've said that about some other first-time writers, but I think there's an art to writing comic books, and there's an art to writing them in a serial form. And this doesn't feel like they quite nailed that yet. It felt like the pacing needed to be a little bit better. And I think the artists did as best they could with the writing they were given. I think the art was solid on this, and it's got enough potential that I might pick up issue #2, but it probably realistically is going to go on a trade weight pile, especially because it's Aftershock, and they tend to do this 5 issues, release a trade, and then if it sells well enough, they'll do 5 more. That's kind of their motto, it seems to be. So I don't feel any great indication or great inclination, words are hard, people, to just keep up with this at this moment. But it does have some interesting ideas. Your mileage may vary on this. You might really like it, and that's cool. I know it's for some spec value on this for whatever reason, maybe just because it is different than some of the other stuff in the pile. So, yeah. All right. This one, I didn't think this was going to be here on this list. I probably shouldn't have picked it up because it's $10, and it's pretty stupid in a lot of ways. This is Strange Love Adventures, #1 from DC Comics. It's their sort of annual Valentine's Day nonsense. There's a Harley Quinn story that is just stupid. There's a Gorilla Grodd story that is just stupid. And then there's a Sergeant Rock story there's a Sergeant Rock story in 2022, and that's just baffling. There's what else? There's a Alfred Pennyworth story in here. There's a Batman and the Riddler story. And there's a Peacemaker story. And the Peacemaker story has the first appearance of Eagly in comics. So you're missing out on that major spec if you didn't pick this $10 book up, people. $10. It matches my shirt, kind of. Here's the thing. If you're willing to let go of some of the jadedness, and I'm probably the wrong person to be saying this, there's some fun to be had in here. Like the Gorilla Grodd and a Flash story is just kind of Silver Age stupid fun. And there's a little bit of that in the Harley Quinn as well. I don't think it quite nails it. I did not mind the Peacemaker story. It felt like it was trying its best to emulate the tone of the HBO series, but without James Gunn writing it, it didn't quite stick it. But it wasn't horrible. And there was a couple others in here. Like I actually enjoyed the Batman Riddler story for what it was. If you think of this in terms of like Silver Age DC and that kind of like level of silliness, this works a lot better. And I've been digging Silver Age DC nonsense lately, so that maybe is why this is this high on the list. Your mileage definitely will probably vary on this one if you picked it up. If anyone else picked this one up, please let me know in the comments, because I have a feeling I might be the only one that did. I actually do kind of like the cover by Paquette, but I don't know. Is it worth $10? Probably not. Should you get this one? I don't know. Yeah. All right. Then we have Daredevil, Woman Without Fear, #2. This is Elektra versus Kraven the Hunter, kind of, with a lot of internal monologuing, some flashity-backety stuff with Elektra. It's good. It's solid. It's Chip Zdarsky and I think Jason De La Torre. I don't know who the first name of the artist. It's not a bad Elektra story. It's not great. It's not awful. It's just kind of solid, and it's an intermittent. It's an intermediate issue of like this stuff happens in here, but it's nothing that concrete. You're in the middle of a story, and so you're not going to get a lot of resolution in here. There's this character that was introduced in this miniseries in the first issue called Aka, and she seems to be like messing with Elektra's head, and it continues in this. And then there's Craven. Craven's motivation seemed a little out of whack in here for Craven. Just from it sort of seems like Craven, Ultimate Hunter, wants the sport of the heart, the hunting sportiness of it all. But then the way it ties together with what's going on in Devil's Reign doesn't seem to like it quite fits for Craven's character. But and minor nitpicking aside, it's still solid. It's decent. If you like Elektra, if you like Daredevil, you're gonna like this. And right on the heels of it, we have Devil's Reign number 4 of 6. This is the Civil War part 12. I don't know, whatever. Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto, who is on the worst book of the week. And yeah, this is the Kingpin has taken over. Heroes are outlawed and everyone's on the run. It's this mostly a story beat that's gone before. What I do like is that this is the Daredevil issue. It's more about Daredevil. And like it's a lot of what Zdarsky's been like writing about with Daredevil, the Catholic guilt and feeling like he's just been a failure for all this stuff, and like his idea of like, can you be a superhero and then risk your friends getting hurt and like blah blah blah. Yeah, that's right, blah blah during a review. This is quality content, people. What saves this book, what redeems it, and what puts it up this far on the list is the ending. I really dug the ending of it. It does have a surprise sort of revelation at the end, a surprise twist. That I think it'll shake things back up a little bit, or for the upcoming new Daredevil series, and so I dug that. And I didn't even hate the Rhino's characterization in here for what it was. I know Rhino's in the cover, and Rhino tied into some other one of these that I really hated, but this is not bad. This is the best of these thus far, and it's where it starts to break off a little bit from the Civil War beats and feel a little bit more like a Daredevil story than just a copy of the Civil War stuff. So it's decent. And this is not the greatest week for comics. It's a lot of stuff at the middle ground and not a whole lot at the top end. But I mean, I'm doing my best. People, I'm trying to enjoy life. I'm trying to enjoy comics. I actually do read to enjoy them, as silly as it may seem, given my cranky ass reviews. But I try. It's just when shit's bad, I call shit bad. I can't call bad shit good. I just can't. I don't have it in me. All right, next we have Moon Knight, number 8. Apparently this is a Devil's Reign tie-in. It's not at all. Sorry, no, I can't, Siri. Shut up, you stupid watch. Yeah, there's nothing in here that has anything to do with Devil's Reign, other than like one sentence. That's about it. And it's out of order. So like Marvel's releasing shit in the wrong order. It's pulling a Marvel. First appearance of Gambit versus first actual appearance versus first Venom versus first actual Venom versus Codex. That's where they release crap in the wrong order. I think that's what's happening here. Like Marvel needs to start talking to each other, like the editors, and be like, no, this has to come out first. But this is Hunter's Reign. This is like the Daredevil, like Moon Knight's not even in this one, but Hunter's Reign is in this, and you get the return of one of sort of Moon Knight's older villains, and the way it's handled is pretty cool. And actually, I dug Hunter's Reign in this, and I dug the way that it was resolved. I like the idea. It also tackles writers' second favorite thing, other than writing themselves into comics. It tackles the idea of the nature of a story. Because when you can't write about anything else, you write about the nature of a story. There's a lot of that in here, but it's solidly done. Art is fantastic. Cappuccio is back on the title, and yeah, I like this. I'm jaded, and like when you it's a little bit of a sigh when you're like, oh, it's about the nature of storytelling, and yeah, but cool villain, actually fairly cool resolution to the whole thing, and Khonshu. All right, my favorite book of the week, and I know this is probably going to top other people's lists too, is King Spies number 3 by Mark Miller and Matteo Scalera. Scalera's art is feeling like a little bit sketchy on this compared to some of his others, a little rougher. I don't necessarily mind that, but it's not as tight and as some of his other stuff has been in the past. But the writing on this is Mark Miller at his most fun. and like where he's playing up to his strengths. You know, like the first Kingsman movie where it was like ridiculous and fun and like over the top and kind of evil and all that wrapped in one. That is King of Spies. Like the main character's dying, and he's the best spy the world has ever known because you got to be the best in a Mark Miller book or the worst. There's not a lot of middle ground. You know, you're not gonna be average, but you're the best spy the world's ever known, and you're finally deciding to do what you should have done all these years instead of playing for the government. But since you're dying, you're gonna kill all the real evil bastards in the world, and it's an over the top joyride. Like he goes after like religion and politics and corporate greed and all this stuff. And then he's getting chased by people that are still being paid by religion and corporate greed. And he also, the spy has fucked up his life a whole lot because he's been dedicated to being a spy. And so he's paying for some of that, his old sins on his own while he's trying to like finish his mission of fixing the world finally, or doing as much fixing of the world as he can before he dies. It's a blast. It really is. If you've not picking this up, I highly recommend it. It's, yeah. Like I know Mark Miller's writing some other stuff too, like the Magician's Order, Magic Order, Magic Council. That's fine. This is much better. This is much better, much more fun, much more entertaining. This is probably going to be a movie or a TV series. I'm guessing it's been optioned. Well, I think Netflix has first rights for all of Mark Miller's like firstborn children and everything at this point. I hope Netflix doesn't fuck this one up if they do something with it, because it has the potential to be a whole lot of fun. And if they treat it right, I think it'd be great. I think it, and I don't say this about most comics. I like most comics in the medium they are in, but I think that if Netflix treats this right, or whoever treats this right, it could translate very well from a TV into a TV series medium, or a mini series of something of that along those lines. But it also works really well as a comic. So that's my favorite book of the week. Again, not the strongest week. I mean, there's a lot of books. I mean, even factoring in that some of these from last week. Yeah, it was a fine week. But all right, that's what I got. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to know when I'm dropping these videos. If you'd like to support the channel, TaylorWinter.com, link in the bio below or description down below, where you can buy some merchandise and stuff. It helps. Then I can afford to buy some comics and bitch about things. If you want to hear me complain about bad comics, I'll buy more bad comics if you buy more bad merchandise. It's the circle of life. Hakuna Matata. Don't be a dick, even if you've never seen The Lion King. Like, I've never seen The Lion King. All right, that's all I've got. See ya.